Hi, I'm Ailbhe McDonagh. In this video, we'll be looking at third position on the cello. Third position is below fourth position in pitch, so it's slightly lower, and of course it's higher in pitch than first position. So the reason we learn third position and second position and half position is that sometimes we can have fingering options in these positions that are more legato than having just first and fourth position. Let's give you an example. If I just used first and fourth position for this tune, you see I'm moving, I'm shifting my hand quite often, but if I did this, you can see that my hand doesn't have to move so much. So that's why we do our third positions and our second positions, so we have the best possible option whenever we need it. So third position is quite interesting because if you look at Rick Mooney's position pieces for the cello, he has a very nice way of describing all of the positions. So you know our first finger on B is first position. Then we move up and we do second position. Can have your first finger on C or C sharp. And then third position can have your first finger on D or D sharp. And we've already learned fourth position, which has our first finger on E. So now we know where everything starts. It can be a little confusing that we can put our finger on D or D sharp in third position. So the way Rick Mooney talks about it is that we have lower third position and we have upper third position. So it's really fascinating. You could also call it third position, third and a half position. Lots of people have different ways of discussing this. So let's just look at lower third position. D, D sharp, E, F. So very, very comfortable. Rick Mooney has a piece called Japanese Garden for this. And these pieces are a great way to learn how to play in that lower third position. So you just work your way through that entire chapter and then you should feel very comfortable in this closed position of lower third position. So let's look at the other strings. We have the D string. Our first finger goes on a G, G sharp, A natural, B flat. On the G string, we start on a C, C sharp, D, E flat. And of course, on the C string, we have an F, F sharp, G, A flat. You can see my elbow is going up a little bit more for the C string, just for support for that pinky finger. Now, that all feels very comfortable. Again, when we're going from fourth position, which is much smaller than first position, fourth to third opens out a very small amount. So we're talking maybe 0.5 millimeter per finger. So we're a little bit bigger in third position. You can't practice your positions and play them with all the same spacings because every time you go lower, your hand must get slightly bigger. And it's only about zoning in very carefully when you can think about that. So let's again, in our third position, our lower third position, just find a few notes that we could find are the same as the open strings. So this time we have our first finger on D and the D string next to it is also a D. Our first finger on the G on the D string. A lovely way to check, are you in the right tuning? C, C. Or if you wanted to think about the third finger in third position, in our lower third position, that's an A. And that's an open A string above it. Again, we could do a D on the G string, third finger. So it's the same note as the one that's the open string above it. And then again, the same thing applies here. Third finger on the C string, and third position is a G. So really fun to test yourself to see, can I find notes that are similar? Can I pick out the C in every position that I know? It'll be really, really good. Next we have upper third position. So upper third position is simply, instead of putting your first finger on D, you put your first finger on D sharp. So our notes are D sharp, E, F, F sharp. You go across to the D string and we have a G sharp, A sharp, and a B. We go across to the G string, which is a C sharp, D, D sharp, and an E. And then finally an F sharp, G, G sharp, A. So this one is kind of a nice one if you're trying to see, how do I move my hand there? You could always practice first finger B, open A string, G sharp, on all the strings. And I often think just one semitone below fourth position, because by now we should be comfortable with fourth position. So it's not too far away, so it's a nice way to think about it with our hand as we're moving into the position. Have a look at the waltz from Rick Mooney's position pieces in his upper third position section. You'll often find that this upper third position is used when you have a lot of sharps in the key signature. So this is an A major. We've got and you can see there he starts in first position, and then you're moving your hand while you play the open A string. Again, move your hand, move your hand. So he's very cleverly giving you time to move your hand and feel comfortable and having the space and time to do it. So then the final way that you can play third position is in an extended position. So you may already have seen my extensions video, and if you haven't, have a little recap before you do this section of this video. So we start on our lower third position, and what we do is we do our extension D. We extend between the D and the E, and then we simply play. So it's like upper third position, except we just have a little stretch between the first and the second fingers. So we have, and extended third position is much easier than extensions back in first position, which of course is one of the bigger spacings on the cello fingerboard. So just to recap those notes, D, and then E, F, F sharp, G, A sharp, B, then we have C, D, D sharp, E, F natural, G, G sharp, A. So that's a very handy one because it gives us an extra spacing of an extra semitone in there when we need it in a piece. So here's a little section from Jig in the extended third position section in the position pieces by Rick Mooney. You can see there the extension that I had in the third position. And that covers everything in third position. Again, go and see, can you find notes that are similar between the first position and the third position and the fourth position? See, can you move around and give yourself little things to do as exercises? For example, D, E. We just keep finding the same note all over the instrument, so you really know where you are on the logistics of the fingerboard. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.